Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be talking all about this monstrosity inside the game, which has to be one of the worst things that Wargaming has ever thought up. The idea of this is to be able to give you little bits of rewards for your tokens, but it does have a dirty secret, and that is that the main reward that people want to be able to get from this is a brand new Tier 9 Soviet medium tank. It is the Object 283. This vehicle, to all intents and purposes, is only available until January the 9th via one way, and that is gambling your tokens that you get throughout the Holiday Ops event, or you can get through buying large amounts of loot crates, although more on that later on, and getting incredibly lucky. So firstly, let me demonstrate the whole process on my free-to-play account. You click the button, and you watch a little story, and then your token just falls into a chimney, and then you get a little bit of loot out of it. And what is that loot? Yay, a large first aid kit, which is worth about 10,000 credits. Thanks, Wargaming. But this gift terminal also has some pretty awesome rewards that you can be able to get. You can get yourself some free experienced mounting kits, some premium credit boosters, you can get directives, and you can even get yourself some random piece of Class 1 equipment, which is really nice because it's worth about 300,000 credits. However, what people are really excited about is to be able to get that 283. Now, interestingly enough, Wargaming have published your chance of being able to get a 283, and they are calling the drop rate 11%. However, confusingly, there are two drops within this 11% chance, and that is you can either get the Object 283 as a rental, or you can get it permanently. Now, so far across both of my accounts, I've managed to get 2 sets of 5 rentals for the 283. Both of them have actually been on my free-to-play account, so it definitely is possible. But the big issue here is how much of that 11% is actually a rental and how much is to be able to get the 283 permanently. So I went digging around on the World of Tanks forums and found that some players have managed to get the rental 11 times, getting 55 battles without actually getting the vehicle. And they think it's so much so that it definitely has to be a bug. But I'd hate to break it to these players that I really don't think anything is bugged. And I believe that out of this 11%, you probably have 10% total of it being a rental and 1 of that 11% of it being permanently. But let me clarify, I have no evidence to be able to back this up yet, apart from everything that I've been hearing from the World of Tanks community about tons and tons and tons of players getting rentals without actually getting their hands on the vehicle as a permanent reward. Now, there are awesome websites like Tomato GG where you can actually go and take a look about how many battles people have been playing in the Object 283, as all of your data is available on Wargaming's website. Everyone can see how many tanks you've played. Everybody can see how many games you've played in each of those individual tanks. One thing I'd like to highlight is that, do you notice how there are a lot of battles that end in either 0 or 5, which would be the divisible of the 5 rental battles that you get? There's a 30, a 65, a 30, a 25, a 30. They're definitely appearing more than 1 in 5 times. If all of these players were getting these tanks permanently, we wouldn't see the number 30 just appearing time and time and time again. In fact, out of the top 100 players who have been getting the most damage in the Object 283, 55 of those players have played a number of battles that is divisible by 5. And let me clarify, if this was a random scenario, the amount of players who were playing battles that would be divisible 5 would be 20. But of course, because most people are getting rentals of the tank, that number is actually over 2.5 times higher. Because most people are either getting 5 battles, 10 battles, 15 battles, 20 battles, 25, 30 battles, 35 battles, and people are playing the tank as much as they're allowed to until their rentals run out. And this alone is a strong statistical suggestion that the chance of you getting the vehicle as a rental is massively higher, that you're going to get the rental. So just how many people have managed to get the Object 283 on the European server? Well, the What Life website actually shows the amount of players who have played at least one game in a vehicle. Now, keep in mind that this number is also going to include super testers who have the vehicle from Wargaming, because I guess they were wanting to balance the tank. But the number currently is 109,663 players who have played at least one game in the Object 283 on the European server. So my guess is that if there's a 1% chance of being able to get the Object 283 for as a permanent reward and a 10% chance to be able to get it as a rental, we would have to take this number, which is 109,000 roughly, divide it by 11, suggesting to me that there are probably about 9,900 permanent Object 283s on the European server so far. And we're about 2 weeks now into an event which lasts for roughly 6 weeks, which means that if this number continues, there are probably going to be about 30,000 Object 283s that are available by the end of the event as permanent tanks on players' accounts. However, the What Life website is estimating that there are about 845,000 active players on the European server in recent history. And I presume that What Life is counting those players as players who have actually bothered to play the game over the last month. And accordingly, my back of the envelope statistics suggests that probably only about 3.5% of the active player base are actually going to be able to get the Object 283 as a permanent tank. And for me, this is outrageous. This is a whole new low for Wargaming. Wargaming, over its entire 10-year history, has never had a situation where your chance of being able to get a tank was not down to you entirely as a player. Even when they've sold new premium tanks, they've either been available for $40 or alternatively, maybe you had to gamble in some loot boxes to be able to get them. But one thing that they've done over the last few years is they have guaranteed reward mechanics so that at least if you buy 50 boxes, you're kind of guaranteed to get at least one of the tanks. And they don't ever usually really put in more than 3 vehicles. So as long as you buy 150 boxes, no matter how much that sounds like, you are guaranteed to be able to get all of the new vehicles. Whenever there was a mission marathon when it went into the game for you to be able to grind to be able to get a tank, you always had an opportunity of either ponying up cash if you didn't have the time to be able to invest into the game to be able to get a new tank. Even when they released ultra rare vehicles like in the black market, as long as you were up even at an obscene time, maybe like 5 AM on the European server, to be able to purchase new tanks as they were available, you could be able to get your hands on them. However, Wargaming, my again back of the envelope estimate that only 3.5% of your player base is actually going to get a permanent Object 283 from this Christmas event is just absolutely disgusting. I'm a tank collector. I want to know exactly how likely I am to be able to get a tank, and if not, how much exactly is it going to cost me. So to let you know exactly how likely you are to be able to get an Object 283, no matter how many hoops you jump through, I've worked it out for you. Firstly, you can get 4 tokens for completing Wargaming's Festive Atmosphere 10. You get 1 at level 1, 5, 7, and 9 respectively. Next, you can actually do missions for Mila Jovovich, who's gone inside the game. And if you complete all of Mila Jovovich's assignments, you are going to get a total of 28 extra tokens. So that is 32 in total now for doing all of Mila Jovovich's missions, which you're going to have to do right up until practically the end of the event, and also for collecting the 4 from the Festive Atmosphere. However, there is another way that you're able to get tokens, and that is that you can spend all of your dust or your resources that you get inside the game on these tokens at 2,000 a pop. But that's only if you complete all of Mila's assignments first, which is going to require you thousands of resources to be able to achieve in the first place, and will require you to log in every single day and literally go and work up in the salt mines. So to be able to get all of this dust, I'm going to document all of the ways that you can. Firstly, twice a day with 55 minutes in between, go and collect resources. Next, you're going to have 2 best friends inside World of Tanks that you visit each day. go up, click in their mines as well, and be able to collect their resources. You can get an extra 200 a pop this way. And then if you really want to min-max, you can go and spend about 10 seconds of your life waiting for the dog to finish its animation to pet your dog to be able to get an extra 50. Next, if you actually want to play the game over the holiday period, you're going to be able to get random resources which total up to an extra 1,200 if you can be bothered to do all of Wargaming's missions every single day. All of this in total gives you 3,250 resources every day, which when you divide by 2,000 gives you 1.625 rolls per day. Now, if you've been playing actively through the event, you will be completing all of your assignments from Mila Jovovich, and you'll be completing Festive Atmosphere to level 10, which means that all of the subsequent days from now on you can dump into your tokens. And as there are about 30 days left of the event, this means that if you literally log in, collect resources, wait 55 minutes, collect more resources, pet a blooming dog, do all of your missions inside the game, then you will have an extra 48.75 rolls, which when you add the 32 extra tokens that you get from playing the event, you're going to get a total of 80, which means that in theory, if you play like an absolute sweatlord, you should have an 80% chance of being able to get the object 283 if I'm correct in my estimate that there's a 1% chance from each of your tokens of being able to get the vehicle permanently. Now, I don't know about you, but the idea of literally having to work like a dog, excuse the pun, through this event to be able to have an 80% chance of being able to get a vehicle, and then sometimes more people than not are not going to actually get the vehicle permanently, seems absolutely disgusting. And you know the World of Tanks player base, they are pretty dedicated and they are pretty gigantic whales as well. So I went digging around on the World of Tanks subreddit to see if there were any posts of players, of people who have gone a little bit nutty inside this event. Firstly, this post is by account deleted. I believe that this account, or they found someone who opened 1,500 boxes inside the World of Tanks client, and unless this is photoshopped, which it really doesn't look like it is, they got themselves 1.2 million gold, 95,000 credits. They got themselves 300,000 resources, nearly 1,000 days of premium, but more importantly, they spent about $1,500 to $2,000 on these boxes. And do you know what the result was? Yeah, 105 rental battles inside the Object 283. And it's even worse. I think that some people have doubled down trying to get the Object 283, and they got 220 rental battles. To put that into perspective, considering that you've got a 10% chance of getting 5 rental battles, that'll be 220 divided by 5 times by 10. They would have opened up 440 tokens on average to be able to get that many rental battles. And if we also include the fact that each one of the large crates that Wargaming is selling costs about £1 or $1, and you get 200 resources from each crate, which then you have to turn turn 2,000 resources into 1 token to slot into the slot machine. That means that this player, in theory, would have spent about $4,400 to be able to achieve this. So once again, unless this is photoshopped, which I really don't think it is, this player spent 4,400 United States dollars, roughly, to be able to get an Object 283 permanently, and they didn't. Now, firstly, let me clarify that this player, they definitely got unlucky. Every time you roll a 1 in 100 event, and you do it 440 times, and you don't actually get the outcome that you wanted, you clearly are unlucky. But this by itself, if this doesn't prove to you all that you should not buy loot crates to be able to get those 200 resources, to be able to then spend 10 loot crates worth of resources to have a 1 in 100 chance of being able to get a vehicle permanently, I don't know what will. This is the definition of predatory gambling and just complete insane stupidity. And Wargaming should be absolutely, utterly ashamed of themselves for taking money off people by preying on tank collectors inside the game. Wargaming, this is absolutely disgusting. And you're preying on people with their fear of missing out. You're doing this to force them to have to get their festive atmosphere, to force them to have to go and give all of their loot to Mila Jovovich, to force them to have to collect dust twice a day, which you've put an arbitrary 55-minute separator in between, because it's very obvious what Wargaming are trying to do with this event. They want you to play World of Tanks every day. They want you to play World of Tanks for at least an hour every day. And even then, if you do that for an entire month through possibly what is one of the most important months with regards to our time for spending with friends and family, you then have an 80% chance of being able to get the vehicle permanently. And then, as the whales have shown, the people who then think, oh, I really, really, really want this tank. Oh, maybe I'll just go buy like another $100 or $200 worth of loot crates. You're only going to have a 10% chance for every $100 you spend on loot crates of being able to get this monstrosity. And just look at this whale. This whale spent $4,000, over $4,000 to be able to try and get this thing permanently, and they will never have it permanently on their account. So Wargaming, whoever thought up of this event is literally the monetization devil, and they should have just put in bad luck prevention for the slot machine too. I would have had absolutely no problem with this event if, after you spent 50 tokens, which is achievable for everyone, even with fairly hardcore play still over the Christmas period, you were guaranteed to get the Object 283. So Wargaming, I implore you, do whatever it takes right now to make it so that everyone who spends at least 50 tokens inside the slot machine of your game gets the tank guaranteed permanently. It's not even a premium tank. It's just a reward vehicle, Wargaming. It's an absolute utter joke that you're making us dance around inside your game, literally doing some of the most arbitrary things inside it, like petting a dog, going up into the salt mines every 55 minutes to go and farm some resources, to then be able to turn it into tokens to be able to put into a bloody machine once a day, or to be able to get a tank which it's not even that good. Is this like Wargaming's ultimate joke, seeing how far they can push the player base to be able to get a tank that isn't even that good inside the game? It possibly is. So Wargaming, please do the right thing. Make it so that there is a guaranteed outcome of this vehicle after 50 tokens or so. In addition to this, tell us exactly what is the difference in percentage chance between getting the vehicle from a rent or getting it permanently, because it's really not hard for the player base to work out that it's probably about 10 times more likely to get it as a rental than it is permanently. And if you can't do all of this because it's too last minute and you don't have the developers available, at least come up with a policy that says that this tank will be available in the future via some other means. Even if you sell it in a premium store, if you create some kind of extra marathon to be able to release it where we're at least guaranteed to be able to get this tank, you owe it to your player base to be fair to them. And this tank is completely unfair and unobtainable for a large majority of your players, and even for players who are willing to grind and grind and grind over the Christmas period in hopes of being able to get something. So Wargaming, do the right thing. Give us some information about this vehicle, because as it stands, you are going to annoy your most loyal customers so much that maybe they'll just stop being tank collectors altogether. Because it's one thing asking your player base to spend, on average, $50 a month to be able to have all of the new toys inside the game. And it's another thing where even $4,400 was not enough to be able to give someone the license to have the Object 283 on their account permanently. And let me clarify to all of the player base, what is the difference between a rental and permanent on an account that may or may not last forever? Wargaming have every right to just turn off the switch of the World of Tanks servers, and as soon as the game is not profitable for them to be able to run, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, everything that you're working so hard for and spending all of your money on, it's all just a big rental anyway. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, this isn't a video which sparks me with happiness. It's not a video that I wanted to make, but it is a damn important video to make, to send just not dilly-dallying feedback to Wargaming. And I'd really like to know what you all have to say about the 283 and Wargaming's practice of putting it in the game in the comments down below. If you liked this video and you thought it was useful and it helped you to be able to make a decision about whether it's actually worth grinding to be able to get this tank over the Christmas period or not, give the video a like. But if you hated the video, give it a thumbs down. And my final message is that if anyone from Wargaming wants to talk to me on a one-to-one basis about this vehicle and about maybe something that they want to do with it in the future, I'm here. I'm all ears. Let's do it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.